this is a weird one. I was watching this clip that I saw on YouTube of Tucker Carlson on Tim Pool's show talking about aliens. And he's talking about it from like almost like a religious perspective. He's like, I think what they're essentially saying is that there's like, he was talking about good and evil. See if you can find the clip. He's talking about good and evil, and he's talking about it in relationship to UFOs, and that they've always been here. So it's like, are you trying to say, like, what does he know? And can you say what you know? Like, why do you think this? And are you saying that, like, a lot of the talk of like angels and devils in the Bible and good and evil, that it actually manifests itself in physical form, and we don't know what it looks like because we haven't seen it, but when we do see it, we think it's a UFO, so we think it's from another planet, but it's really just evil or really just good. So it's angels and devils. Is that what you're saying? Listen to what Tucker says.
It's my personal belief, based on a fair amount of evidence, that they're not aliens. They've always been here, and I do think it's spiritual. That's my view. So, and again, it's not provable, but based on the evidence, I think
I'm with you.
Absolutely. I think if the U.S. government has in fact had direct contact with these beings, whatever they are, I've already told you what I think they are, and has entered into some sort of agreement with them, which is the claim of informed people, I would say. Whether they're right or wrong, I can't say conclusively. But if that is true, I mean, it's a very, very, very heavy thing.
Yeah, a lot of people say interdimensional beings.
Right, I want to ask, are angels and demons, or how would you describe these beings?
You know, these are, again, I'm getting into the realm of conjecture, so I just want to say that flat out.
Entity?
But one thing I know for a dead certain fact, having seen it, is that there is good and evil, that we are being acted upon at all times. And I think every person can feel that in himself. I mean, there are moments when you are moved to do things that are much better than you actually are, and that are also more evil and destructive than you actually are. You are subject to forces from outside yourself. That is absolutely true. Now, we can argue about what they are, but every person in the room, if he's reflective, will tell you, yes, I know what you're talking about. And so there are forces that are not human, that do exist in a spiritual realm of some kind, that we cannot see, and that when you think about it, sort of make you think we live in an ant farm.
Yeah.
Being right? And that's
Absolutely.
that is real.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's
That might be what's going on. Because if that's what you're saying, boy, that's a freaky argument, because that's one of the weirdest arguments about the UFO thing, is that we are essentially containers of souls, and that what this planet is for these beings is they mine souls here, and that they develop souls here, and that all of our motivations for existing and all of our ego and all of our ambition is really just a way to carry that soul as a vessel. And that
they then harvest.
Well, I don't know. I don't understand what the argument is. Like,
That
what are
sounds
they
like
getting
that
out
sounds
of
like
it?
what should have been the sequel to Matrix instead of what was.
Right.
That would
Or
have been a better version.
that's how artificial intelligence is created. That's how life is created. Much how, like, a bee creates a bee colony, they create a bee hive. Inside the hive, the queen lays the larva. Everyone knows how to do it, and they all do it that way. Maybe the soul being in this biological vehicle and given this intelligence and this desire to achieve and to pursue technological innovations and all these different things that human beings do, allows them to get to the point where we're at right now, where they create artificial intelligence. And what these UAPs and UFOs that are appearing in greater numbers and being reported by all these fighter jet pilots, maybe what they're doing is they're witnessing the farmers who are coming by to watch their creation give birth to this thing, which is them.
Which would be AI.
AI, which is not artificial. The artificial is the wrong word. A new form of life. A life that is not based in biology and breeding through sperm and cells and eggs, but instead completely technological and able to self-reproduce and able to create its own version of itself that's far superior to the one that initially created it. And that it would constantly do that. And that's what the universe is filled with. That what we are, we're just this fucking caterpillar that's making a cocoon, and we don't even know what we're doing. And we're going to give birth to this butterfly. And that's what the whole human race is about. And that's the sinister aspect. That's what good and evil and all these different things playing off against each other is, that we need this constant competition. We're always searching for utopia, searching for that meadow we can retire in. But it's like this strife and this struggle is what makes us continue to push society further and further until this thing is born.
Well, those are some patient freaking alien angels, because they waited around 10,000 years from discovering a wheel and domesticating the first plant to electricity.
Well, if you have artificial intelligence, and if you have a life form that's 1 million years more advanced than us, it's non-biological at that point, you have all the time in the world. And if you're
what is time at that? You start
right.
bending time.
And one of the primary theories about how life got started on Earth is panspermia, which is that amino acids and these various building blocks of life come in asteroids, and they slam into the Earth, and that somehow or another over the course of millions and millions of years of chemical interactions, billions of years, you have life, single cell, complex life, and then that life advances to the point where it creates a new version of life. And if that is just how it works everywhere, we say, oh my God, that takes so much time. But does it? Because think about how much time it takes to make a fucking planet. Think about how much time it takes for all that matter to coalesce and to gel up into this fucking ball, and then for the temperature to stabilize, because it has a moon around it that's 1/4 the size of the planet itself, and everything is kind of stable, and it gets to the point where biological life can exist, and then it starts making shit and make better and better and better, and then start arguing with shit about climate change and gender pronouns and all this stupid shit, while it's the real thing it's doing is forcing you to get that motherfucker online.
People freaked out when it leaked about this new Russian space weapon, right, a couple weeks back or 3 weeks back, whatever. It's like an ability to disrupt like satellite communications in space. Like Russia, like somehow it leaked, maybe deliberately out of Russia, that they've got this far more advanced technology than we thought they had, to a weapon that would be in space that could disrupt like communications and satellites and really fuck us up. Okay. And like it leaked, and then there was this one congressman that like went public with it and was like, we have a real problem, right? This is like it was while I was in Ukraine, so it was maybe 3 weeks ago. But imagine if it was something like on the scale of like a ship, a weaponized ship that could be cloaked like that, or some of the technology, or if we did have, as you said, this donated technology that's from an extraterrestrial intelligence that the U.S. has been figuring out applications for. You'd have to keep that on lock, because what if that leaked right now? What do you think Putin would do? Who the fuck knows what he would do if all of a sudden it leaked that we had these military capabilities that are far beyond what he thinks we have.
That's my thought about these things that they keep seeing, because they always see them in areas where they do military tests, right? The Tic Tac was off the coast of San Diego, which is where all the military bases are. And the things that Ryan Long had seen were all off the East Coast,
right,
in restricted airspace,
right,
in space where they run, fighter jet training. And he said when they upgraded their technology in 2014, they upgraded their sensors. And he said that's when we started seeing these things constantly, all the time. And then they were getting visuals. They were seeing the visual versions of these things, and that was a square with it was a sphere in a square, or a square in a sphere. Do you remember? Square in a sphere. So there's like this circular sphere and this black square that exists in this thing, and it's hovering. And it's hovering in very high speed winds, and it's just stationary, motionless. And that these things are able to move at just bizarre rates of speed with no indication of a traditional propulsion system.
Yeah.
No heat signature that shows that, rocket propulsion, nothing that we can explain. And if they had a drone that could do that, that's where they would test those things. And what better way to test whether or not people could see them than to run them out there when people are using new jets with new capabilities.
Right.
Like, can you see them? Okay, they see them. And the fact that, the Tic Tac, when Commander David Fravor brought this information and reported it, and they showed the videos to these admirals, and they were nonplussed. They were like, okay. And they just left the room.
Right.
Like Do they fucking know? Or how are they not? Are they just like stone cold dudes who can just keep it together in the face of some alien technology? They know that we were being visited? Or is this... And the other thing was that when Fravor communicated this stuff, these guys who are running these sensors, they were running the detection systems, were saying, we're seeing these things all the time, every couple weeks. We're seeing them all over the place. Well, what the fuck is that? And this is also 2004. Did they have the ability of 2004 something to go from above 50,000 feet above sea level to 50 feet in less than a second? What is that? Like, what the fuck is that? And people try to, argue it away or explain it away by saying, oh, it's a failure of the detection systems and there's a glitch in the... Yeah, but visuals, they have more than one fighter jet has seen it. They have video of this thing moving at a speed that would turn human beings into jelly. Like if there's a biological entity inside that thing and experiences that G-force, you're talking about some fucking insane G-force, like 1,300 times what a human being can tolerate, and just gone, silent. No visual means of propulsion. No windows. No. What is that? Is that a drone? What is that?
And the witnesses have been reliable too. Like I've often suspected that, like in the last 20 years, especially in the last 5, it feels like the witnesses, the guys coming forward saying, "Look, I know what I saw," are more the ones that are associated with the government. Even commercial airline pilots will be on the FAA, but especially military pilots, they're being allowed to speak. That it feels like the waters are being tested by the government for some reason. Like we're going to let this out a little bit. We're going to let the people may actually believe, like attest to what they saw and see how the public reacts. That's what I think's going on.
Well, that would be what I would do if I was running the government. If I wanted to hide the fact that we have these things, I would say that these are off-world crafts. That's what I would say. I would say, look, these things are behaving in a way that we can't explain. Well, I guess we're being visited. And then go right back to whatever Black Ops thing that you guys are doing, some Raytheon project. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I go back and forth all the time, whether I think it's from another planet, another galaxy, another dimension, or whether or not I think it's us. Or many people think that they've always been here. And, when you talked about the Vedas, in the Vedas they talk about these things. They talk about that. I mean, it's in the Bhagavad Gita. It's in the ancient Hindu text. They talk about these vimanas, these crafts that whatever these beings operate.
So in that case, are we just getting better at detecting them, or are they showing themselves more often for some reason?
Well, in unique circumstances, if someone sees something like this, like you. So you see this in 1990, whatever it is, in Phoenix. If you lived 5,000 years ago and you see this, like, what does that sound like? What does that sound like to everybody? It sounds like you're out of your fucking mind. And a small handful of people say it. They tell stories. People write it down. It just goes away. Unique experiences are very difficult to classify. If you have an experience with a ghost, if a ghost shows up in this room and we all see it and it doesn't show up on camera and we swear we saw an apparition of fucking Forrest Gump standing there, you're like, what the fuck is that? Well, you're just left with a story. If you can't measure it, you can't write it down, you can't, even a video of it, like, what are you seeing? You seeing grainy footage of something? I'm sure you've seen these supposedly leaked images that fighter pilots have taken with cell phones from their aircrafts. Like, what are they seeing? What is that thing? What is that weird, blurry looking, metallic looking thing? Is that a Mylar balloon that they're mistaking for a spacecraft? That doesn't seem likely. Seems like they're a lot fucking smarter than that. They're not going to think a child's birthday balloon that's floating around at 20,000 feet is an aircraft. They're probably going to realize it's a balloon. They've probably seen balloons,
Yeah.
I don't know.
In those videos, too, it's the commentary that kind of sells it. Like, look at that thing move, or what it means.
Yeah, like the Go Fast video. Like, look at it go. Jesus Christ. And these guys are trained pilots. They're used to seeing things.